Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back, and we are back on Married at First Sight Australia, series 11, episode 38, and it is the penultimate episode. It's the last confessions of the couch reunion, aka the commitment ceremony. So everybody from the past has come back, and as they do, they have their conflab on the couch with the experts. Anyway, before I get into this episode, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so you know I'm on to do videos. I am on the road to 1k, so as I always ask as well, please comment, please share, please like, do what you good folks do. And let's get into this episode. So they ended up going back to the wedding, so each time the person came on the couch, they did show their kind of best bits and down bits of their relationships basically, and things that other people did say. It did get kind of heated between Cassandra and Sarah, and the words that Cassandra said, and I'm like, who put a penny in this girl and wound her off? Because Cassandra was going off on Sarah. In fact, she didn't like her, she didn't like Sarah at all. It also then showed everybody's weddings all cumulated together at the beginning, and Ellie was all excited to see everything and da-da-da-da. And I was like, but my girl, you was excited, but you ended up married to Ben, you weren't married to Jono at the end of the day. And vice versa. When they showed all the bits, good and bad bits of Lauren and Jonathan's relationship, Ellie didn't like half of the stuff that was being shown there at the end of the day, because then she realised exactly how close Jonathan was to Lauren. And the fact that Jonathan lied to your motherfucking face and in those texts, if he was ever saying that things weren't going right between them, yes, when she left things weren't going right between them, but they were working on it and fixing it, because that's what Jonathan wanted, because he wanted Lauren in his life. I'ma keep saying it because it's the truth. Anyway, the first couple up was Lauren and Jonathan. They talked about the dinner party and the fact that he walked in with Ellie, and everybody was saying that they were absolutely shocked. So he was asked basically when he got in touch with Ellie, and he's trying to say it was the week after the final phase, and then he actually called Ellie. So Alessandra asked, one of the experts said, so you progressed it to calls? And he was like, yeah, he didn't want Ellie to be blindsided by it all, but yet you was okay blindsided Lauren with you two walking in on your bullshit. Do you know what I mean? You was on your bullshit tour and you two walked in, you decided to blindside Lauren completely. He had no respect for the person that he was with for how many months, the person that you're married to for how many months, yeah? And because he did something wrong, she deserved no respect. Anyway, so Ellie was basically finding it hilarious and funny that they all kept on saying that the messages was a cheating scandal. It was, my love. When you decide to make a decision to communicate with someone who is actually married to somebody else, and they communicate with you outside of their marriage without letting their wife know that they're actually communicating with you, that's called cheating. That's emotionally cheating, because that is kind of the same thing that Sarah did with her ex towards Tim. So the fact that Ellie sat there thinking that she's laughing at the term cheating scandal, she cheated. She literally went in to destroy a marriage because she wanted the man that Lauren was with. They were cheating on both their parts. There was intent, as Sarah said. There was clear intent. So they asked Jonathan why he reached out to Ellie, because don't forget, Jonathan was the one that said Ellie reached out to him first. He didn't reach out to her, but now he's twisted that and said it was him. And he came with he reached out to a lot of people as part of that experiment when they left, which is bullshit. So they said to her, okay, said to him, okay, then did you reach out to any of the other brides that left the experiment? Amazingly, no, he did not, just Ellie. So they asked him, well, why Ellie? And this, again, he doesn't answer a straight fucking question with a straight answer. He deflects all over the place. So Alessandra had to bring him back in and say, again, but why Ellie? So, again, He deflected, and I'm saying, with the amount of deflection this man was doing on this couch with straight answers that he should have known, with straight questions that he should have known the answers for, Ellie should have been looking at this and being actually quite worried. Quite worried. So Jono is basically saying that he made the decision to come back knowing it would look bad, but there was nothing in the messages at all, and he didn't want to be by himself. Why? I've never known one person who literally will deflect through his teeth, not actually answer a direct question, and will literally think of himself, doesn't think of the impact on the other person that he was willing to be with against all odds. Yeah. So Lauren says that she was embarrassed and she would have preferred to have someone let her know. She brought up the fact that when Ellie walked in, she decided to be polite and say hello to Ellie, and Ellie didn't acknowledge her in the slightest. So I kind of wanted to know, well, why the fuck didn't Ellie acknowledge her? So Ellie's reasoning was, I was overwhelmed and I forgot to say hello. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. But we shall continue. So Ellie then turns around when they did ask her why she didn't pull Lauren to one side and have a conversation with her. She didn't feel the need to talk to Lauren at all about anything. And this is why I say Ellie is not a girl's girl. Ellie is not a girl's girl, and she's shown herself for what she is, the way that Jonathan has shown himself for what he is. I just thought, how insensitive can you be to someone else's feelings? Because Lauren did nothing wrong to Ellie in the slightest. So basically Lauren lets it all out on the couch. Ben kind of believes that Ellie and Jono were feeling each other all along, because he said it. And they asked Jono if he had a crush on Ellie, and again Jono's lying through his fucking teeth because he know that he did, and he's being called out right now. They asked him if it was serious with Ellie and if he's falling in love with Ellie. Jono looked like an absolute deer in the headlights, and he says they've progressed those feelings and he's on the path to that. Bollocks. Absolute bollocks. So they ask Ellie, and her with her big ass smile, she's like, I really like Jonathan, and for love it's heading down that path. And I'm like, in 4 weeks, my girl. In 4 weeks it's heading down that path, yeah? So Lauren turned around and said, let's make it an even 5 weeks, which is the 5 weeks, the week prior Ellie left the experiment. And then they started texting each other because there were loads of texts between them. They were building that relationship with each other. So they looked at the best bits of Jono and Lauren, and basically it did show Lauren saying things to Jonathan that were not so nice to his face about their marriage and where she was, and that she wanted him to man up and X, Y, and Z. So it then shows the bit about how she was ready to call out Jack for the comment, and then it showed the comment where he called her, like, you know, he told Jono to put muzzle on your woman. Ellie's face as well when she realised that Jono, during the time that they were having these text messages back and forth, yeah, he slept with Lauren in the homestays, and saw how Jonathan was then talking about Lauren, about wanting to make a go of it, wanting to make it work. And then it kind of showed the impact of the message gate and the route that took. And then it kind of turned around to Jono at the dinner table saying loud and clear that there's nothing going on between him and Ellie. He doesn't see Ellie that way, and even if when we get to the reunion, you will see that Ellie will say the same thing. Yeah, he was embarrassed by that one. My man covered his face. He covered his face, and for the first time Ellie looked hella uncomfortable and didn't know where to put herself. That fucking smile dropped off her face quick smart from the point that she realized them two were sleeping with each other and making a go of it. Yeah, because again, if that information hadn't been shared with Lauren while she was on that couch with Jono, hadn't been shared with him, he would have continued with that marriage, with that relationship, and so would have Lauren. She would have made that work with him outside of the experiment. We all know that. Don't think Ellie clearly does, but we all knew that. So the show Vinyl Vows, and all I'm gonna say, when they re-showed Lauren's last words to this man, chef's kiss, everybody else was like, whoa. It's like, yeah. Again, Jonathan at the end of all of that still again tried to deflect onto Lauren and say she was at fault. And I'm like, can't you accept you did wrong, Jonathan? Cannot you accept it? That you did this woman greasy. You did this woman dirty. You and Ellie together. So the next couple up was Sarah and Tim. They talked about what Jono had released to at the dinner table. Tim basically said that he was truthful, that if he had time to make a different decision, he may not have said let's keep going, because Tim explained that he got in his head. It was a war between his head and his heart at the end of the day. Sarah basically said that she didn't know he had doubts. Tim doesn't believe that he was in his wrong to say yes, and that you can have doubts. But at the end of the day, Sarah wanted him to communicate that with her, not with Greaseball at the end of the day, because he used that as ammunition to get Sarah to shut the fuck up and stop defending Lauren and stop calling him out. That's why he did what he did, which shows the character of Jonathan. So Jonathan again goes with the issues with them is their combative argument style. And I'm like, why didn't nobody pick up on the fact that Ellie and Jonathan were laughing at that table after Jonathan dropped that bomb on them and got Sarah to blow up? Like, seriously, no one picked that out at all. So they went and showed their best beats. It did go back to the phone task and Sarah not doing it and all their fallouts. And this is where I said Cass just literally went off, because she showed in her VC that she didn't like Sarah, and she thought Sarah's not being truthful, and you can't believe anything that comes out, a word that comes out of that girl's mouth. Even Sarah was like, the fuck? I was like, the fuck? I was like, that, go on with it. Okay, Cass, okay. So Cass went in and she said, I don't want to get to know Sarah, because she'd seen enough, because Sarah was basically saying that her and Cass had never spoken for even Cass to have that view of her. So Cass goes, do you know what? Sarah's the nastiest person she's ever met. Even Michael jumped in to defend Cass and say, well, she shows herself, her mouth is rude and unruly. And I was like, rotted. Okay, okay, that's what they came here to do, but okay. So the next couple up was Eden and Jaden, and I didn't speak to them long. Jaden saying it's when they were talking about Eden and Jaden and they mentioned their relationship, Jaden says no, it's not a relationship, it's a marriage, because that's where they're at and they're good. So that was that. Then it came to Jack and Tori, and basically they want to come on the couch and they want it to be painless. They say that they are great and in the best place they've ever been. Again, they're both monotone, because I really think it's coming down to the fact that they are not comfortable being in that situation at all, because each time it probably sends them back into a bit of PTSD, because they were always got out every time they got on the couch. But the reason why they were always got out is because Jack didn't know when to shut his mouth, is because Jack was not being truthful when it came to his view of Tori, his wife, and how he felt about her. So basically Tori was saying that they needed time away from the group, and she hates this type of get together and believes that it's yuck. And I'm like, well, if it wasn't for this yuck, my love, you wouldn't have met or had Jack in the first place. So you kind of have them to thank for that at the end of the day. Don't look a gift horse in the rotted mouth. So it came to their video and Tori had her back to Jack. literally, and visually she got to see everything that Jack was saying about her, about how he's not attracted to her, about the shit that he was saying about all the other women, the comments that he made, because that was in essence their marriage. They didn't really necessarily have good bits to show, to be honest with you. That was in essence their marriage, and how it impacted on others. And Tori literally had tears in her eyes, and she had the pillow up by her face because she really did not want this visual representation of who her husband was flung at her. So she was quite quiet, and Jack was rubbing her arm, and giving her, and basically turned around and said to her, "Good girl," because he saw was the bits in where she was defending him and going at others, and basically saying that she didn't want to hear from these people, as she called them, whereas Tori was literally visually being eviscerated by what she was seeing, and he couldn't see that. He couldn't pick it up. It was cringe to watch, absolutely cringe, and all Jack did was smize each time. So then they showed the final vows, and they showed exactly what Jack said in his final vows, and Tori literally was cringing at that point because she realised exactly what it was that he said. Bearing in mind, remember, when she finished her final vows, she did not want to concentrate on the negatives of his vows, just the positives. But again, it was thrown in her face. Everybody else that listened to Jack's final vows was like, what the fuck was that? Like, seriously, what the fuck was that? So they went to go through it. Tori basically got to the end of their sheet, and they were not happy with the fact that it didn't show any of their fun stuff, because there was no fun parts. There was no fun. These two were living in cloud cuckoo land, like seriously living in an alternate reality to what everybody else was seeing and watching at the end of the day. But you didn't want to see that. But now it's fucking being thrown in your face. You had no choice but to see it. So Tori was basically saying that she was out. She wanted to leave, and got up off the couch, and Jack had no choice but to get up and follow her. Tori could not handle being shown the evidence that her relationship with Jack wasn't healthy in the slightest. It was kind of toxic. Basically, Jack was saying that, you know, the low lights were confronting, and that there were highlights in their marriage, but nobody was showing those. So John goes in again with the same things, and Tori, you can see, is getting annoyed by what was being said. Jack was talking about what he learned, and he said the same thing 3 different ways. Tori says the legitimacy of their relationship and their marriage was questioned, and I'm like, they don't show any emotion. She's unbothered by it all, and this is why I kept on saying, you need to leave these two to their own devices. This is where they're at now. This is their marriage. This is their relationship. Let them do what they need to do. Or as Jack calls them, boyfriend and girlfriend, bearing in mind they did get married at the beginning of the show, but hey ho. Tori, they talked about how Tori was a strong person, basically. I didn't really see her as being a strong person, because she would lay on that sword for Jack every single time and not call this man's ass out. That was my thing. Not call him out, but literally go mad at everybody else. So Tori basically said that she had no reservations from what she watched at all. But again, she did look to Jack before she said that. And she wants to blame the show for the whole shitfire that was their relationship. And again, she throws a dummy out and then basically wants to leave. She gets up, Jack follows her. And that was all it was, because she didn't want to be confronted by the shit show that was her husband at the end of the day. So the next couple up was Lucinda and Tim, and now we're the very last couple up. They said that they're good. They're going to continue to keep in touch. And all I keep telling you is Lucinda built Tim up to be with somebody else. Tim is basically talking about how there was hope at the beginning of something for him and Lucinda. But as I've already heard on the grapevine, as I'd seen in some other videos in terms of Mass Australia, that basically it looks as though Tim may be in a relationship with Andrea, but I don't know how true that is, but that's what it looks as though to be saying and to be showing. Anywho, that is where the episodes ended. So that is it for Married at First Sight Australia, I think, this year. but I'll be back for when any other ones come, because you know the next one will be Married at First Sight UK. You know that's going to come from somewhere. So as I promised at the end of this video, the next videos that I am going to react and review and do what I need to do with, break down, is I know that Love is Blind Africa is coming on the 10th of May. So I'm definitely, come hell or high water, going to be doing that show. I did want to do The Circle, but that isn't going to go to fruition for me right now. And I actually did want to start looking at the Love Triangle, which is done by the same producers and people who have basically done Married at First Sight Australia. So we'll see how that goes. So be here or be squared. Just before I go, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button, so when you know I'm on and doing videos, please comment, please share, please like, because I am on the road to 1K. And I'll speak to you all again very, very soon. Peace out.